our society has kind of fucked us up in a lot of ways, right? We're taught you go to school, you go to college, you get married, you get the corporate job, you move up, you have the house, you have the vacations, you have the cars, like you have all of these things. And at the end of the day, that isn't what makes us happy. Our industry in general is just very deceiving. It's all fake.
Oh, God.
But our best episode yet will be about sex.
Okay, so
we haven't released that one yet. Oh yeah, we went there.
Oh, you did?
Yeah, we. Justin Godsey was literally like, had tears.
He's like,
Yeah, what else?
I wasn't sure about the dogs. I was like, okay, I'm sure she likes dogs. Because who doesn't like dogs?
I was going to say, yeah.
But
I mean, if you don't like dogs, I think that's a red flag.
In, so that's why I was asking that.
I mean, I felt like I was pretty friendly.
So you have 2 podcasts as well.
Yes.
So you're a podcast host.
Yes.
Yep. And their names are Ponderbox
and Dating Exposed.
Okay, we'll get into that in a little bit. So we'll start off by asking some fun questions to get to know you a little bit. So here's the first one. What's the most unusual talent or skill you have that people might not know about you? Or that might not know about, sorry.
I don't know that I have one. I don't know that I have an unusual talent.
No.
I was on a date a couple weeks ago and I was asked the same question. I was like, I don't know that I have.
Who were you on a date with? Was it a podcast host? Come on.
Yeah. No,
you know what's funny is that I'm like, geez, I should have my glasses right now.
I don't know that I have an unusual talent, to be honest. I'm pretty.
Do you think you're gathering yourself right now and you're finding more out about yourself that you're going to find out you have a talent? Because you're doing a lot of exploration into your life. Maybe it's to come.
Yeah. I mean, I have always wanted to do piano lessons, so maybe I'm just this like
future
amazing
savant.
Yes,
okay.
and I just don't know it yet.
All right, well,
yeah.
All right, so then what's your guilty pleasure or hobby that you enjoy in your free time?
I mean, I have a long list. I love paddleboarding. It's not really anything. Again, I like to be in bed by 9 p.m. I'm awake by 5:30. I'm a very boring person, actually. I love to read. Guilty pleasure. I mean, I would say I love a margarita.
Okay. You do go out, though. I've seen you. So.
Yeah. No. I do like to have
nothing
fun.
to be guilty about that, though.
Yeah. Yeah.
Whoa.
But it's not like Yeah.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
It's sometimes.
I loved going. I just did my first combo ceremony.
You did?
Yeah, like 2 weeks ago. So like that's kind of my like.
Wow.
What
okay.
I love to do. Yeah.
This is what I love to do.
Yeah.
Okay.
Poison myself. Yeah. See what happens.
So what did you think about that?
It was amazing.
Did you do just combo or did you do something following combo?
Sananga, the eye drops.
Mm-hmm.
Have you tried the eye drops?
Nope.
Okay.
But I know what it is.
Yeah. Yeah. So, I mean, the girls that facilitated the ceremony for me, I know personally very well. Mm-hmm. So I think that kind of helped. And they had prefaced with the first ceremonies, your introduction to the medicine mm-hmm. and to familiarize with yourself with the medicine. So very gentle.
Did you do it in town or did you go out of town?
In town.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
Did you prep for that?
Sorry. May I ask a question? Is it something that happens over a period of like a couple days, or is that like a one shot?
It can be. Yeah, it can be. So a couple days, yes, but they also just say, listen to your body. Your body will tell you.
For the combo?
Yeah. So I just did it that once, but now I'm curious to do it again. Also the placement where they put it, or the girls that facilitated it, she used a cigar and blew the smoke on my body. You said you haven't done it?
I've done it, yeah.
Okay. Did they use a cigar with you?
No, they did. They burned like our holes in our back.
Well, yeah, but like where did they determine the placement of the holes?
Oh, I don't know. It was on my spine. Everybody did the same spot.
Oh.
All on the spine.
Put it on your spine.
Mm-hmm. It was intense.
Yeah, they say if it's on your back, that's the most intense experience.
It was pretty intense.
Yeah. Anyway, so the girl that facilitated, she actually went to the Amazon forest and trained with the tribe on how to administer it. So she came back. So she uses a cigar and she blows the smoke on your body, and wherever the smoke swirls is an indication of an energetic block. So.
You know what? I don't even know if they did do that, to be honest with you. I don't remember that part, but they could have done that, and that's why they chose. But I think we all did it in the same spot. There was 4 of us, but So that's a pretty intense deal. So did you feel better afterwards? Because to me, it was the best part of the whole thing. There was 3 parts of mine, and that was the easiest part, and to me, the most satisfying part.
Yeah. So after the ceremony, I was like energized, ready to go. Woke up the next morning and I was like, I feel like I'm out of my cocoon. Like just felt fresh. I don't even know how to explain it. Just felt fresh. Yeah. And just very like playful. Wanted to go explore. Actually like the next day I took a road trip up to Flagstaff. So that's cool. It was good. But now I want to do it more.
Did you
Hey, just for those people, I think there's going to be plenty who have no idea what combo is or what you're talking about. So maybe you can kind of set the table for what it is.
Go for it.
You want me to?
Yeah.
So combo is the excretion of the frog poison. And so what they do is they'll, like you said, burn holes on your skin. So depending on where there's placement, everything on our body means something. So my placement was on my shoulder and then my like back, which is where we carry burden, pressure. And so they take a little, it looks like the end of an incense really, and they just burn you. And then they put the secretion on those, they call them the gates. So they'll put the secretion on there. And depending on how your body's responding, they'll leave it on for however long. Mine was probably on for like 10 minutes maybe. And then the second they take it off, your body just neutralizes and you go into homeostasis. But everybody's experience is different. Every time you do it can be different. And it was, I mean, I definitely felt it. There was that moment of like, oh shit, what am I doing? Immediately like hot, heart's racing, significant amount of pressure in my head. And then it was just, the lesson there was just to kind of like lean in and surrender and trust and let it do its thing.
Yeah.
And so why would people do this? Like, what is it that people who are wanting to do these ceremonies, what are they seeking?
Yeah, so there's a lot of benefits. I mean, outside of just the emotional component of providing yourself the safety and knowing like you will be safe and leading into that moment. I mean, it's a natural peptide that's in our body as well. So it can help with depression, anxiety, any chronic pain. Anything you want to add to that?
Yeah, I mean, for me, it was that, and then it was a lot of just cleaning your body out of all the toxins,
Well, because you probably purged. I
purged, yeah.
Yeah.
But I also went into the whole thing having to be as clean as possible.
Yeah.
With no sugar, alcohol, meats, caffeine, like that. So it was supposed to be 2 weeks beforehand. I did do that. Some of the other guys did not. But you could see like the face expanding. And 3 out of 4 hours did purge. But it really, just to kind of get you feel just really refreshed.
Yeah.
Cleaning out your body. You could just feel like the crap in your gut and everything just coming out of your system. But it's a trip though. Yeah. Because we did it all together. So you're like looking right at somebody and, face is like this big. Because it is for us, it was definitely a purge. The one other person was not, and still don't know how he got out of that not purging.
Unscathed?
Yeah, it was super weird.
Yeah.
But
I didn't get sick.
Did other people?
It was me.
Oh, you just went by yourself?
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
So that's a good way to do it.
And so they were also, I mean, one of the other girls is a Reiki practitioner as well, so she was helping moving energy and while the medicine was doing its thing too. So, yeah.
Well, cool.
If my face swelled up, I don't even know it.
Yeah.
My eyes were closed and I was just in my own little world.
That was one of the main things I remember about seeing the other people looking up going like, whoa.
Oh my God. Yeah.
And then afterwards, us all having a conversation. They're like, dude, your face was swollen. I was like, oh, okay, good, because yours was too.
Yeah.
You look like you're 90 with a big swell. And then everybody comes back to normal.
Yeah.
But they say that you should do that before you do any of the other medicines, right? You start there. But some people literally just go and do that. Like Phil, he's a big combo guy. He just loves to go, and he just goes and does it like once a month.
Wow.
And he's really getting into it heavy now.
So is combo like the first of the 3 things that you did?
Yes.
Okay. And then like Bufo, is that one of them?
You did combo, Bufo, and psilocybin? Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
And they also say, so if you're thinking about doing combo, obviously read about it, educate yourself. But then if you start seeing frogs or symbols of, or any, then that's the universe confirming your decision to go do it. So the initial conversation I had about doing combo, I leave, I hop on the freeway, and next to me is a green Charger, bright green Charger, and the license plate said Kermit.
Oh,
so
wow.
I took a picture and sent it to my girlfriend. I was like, is this
Wait,
what
that
you
was
need?
when you decided to do it? Or right
So I had a conversation. No, I had a conversation with my
wow.
girlfriend because she had just got out of a ceremony. I was like, tell me about it.
Wow.
So she's telling me about it. And she was like, you'll know. You'll start seeing frogs, and literally get on the freeway. And next to me is
That's true. So. And you're wearing a beautiful green blouse today.
I'm becoming one.
You are a frog.
I'm becoming with one.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
I have a friend that just did, this is going in a totally different direction I was expecting to, but it's fine. Yeah. I have a friend who just did a ceremony in Montana, and he was invited to go by this guy that in his industry, this kind of like a high level guy. He's not really necessarily a competitor, but they do business together. And guy bought a ranch in Montana and like hand selected like 5 people to come do this and brought a shaman out. And he's like, and they did the combo, and then they did ayahuasca. But he had a moment that when he was telling me the story, I was like getting chills. So the guy who was leading the ceremony, not the shaman, but like the other guy, asked everybody to sing a song, right? And Ryan's like, great, you know, it's like it's in an uncomfortable situation when you've got a bunch of people around you don't know. And so they had already done the psilocybin. So they did psilocybin first before they did. And so he picked Wish You Were Here by Pink Floyd.
Okay.
And the woman next to him was like crying through the whole thing. And afterwards they're like, you know, is everything okay? And she's like, well, that's the song that we sung at my son's funeral.
Oh my goodness.
Which led me to come here.
Oh my gosh.
Wow.
That's wild.
Is that wild?
Yeah.
He said there was moments like that, like over and over again on this like 3-day experience that he did. And it's a lot of that stuff. I think people come out of just feeling, understanding some things maybe. Yeah. Or just feeling some sort of closure or just, you know, it's definitely a trip.
Yeah. Well, they say whenever you're in community like that everybody is there for a reason, right? I mean, I've been in events like that where I'm like, there's something about that person. I need to get to know them. One of which is actually one of my really great friends right now. So yeah, if you're open to it, you know, everybody was brought there for a reason. And if you're open to it and you're willing to see through maybe the differences and hold compassion and understanding for people, then you just look at them a little bit differently.
So was this the first thing you've done or no? So you've done this before or no?
No.
Okay, it's the first time.
Yeah.
And now you're going to do it again?
Yeah, I feel called to do it again.
Yeah.
I just don't know when or how or what that looks like, but yeah, I will.
Yeah, I'm still not quite sure. I think the combo for sure, I like that part, but I didn't have necessarily like the best experience with the other stuff. And which makes me want to do it again in a different way. And I just think that the person who administers the medicine sometimes, I mean, they're just normal people, right? That have learned this trade, right? So there's different schools of thoughts on stuff.
Sure.
And I didn't feel like the person that did mine really understood how much I knew about drugs, to be honest with you, just like, and my body, right? I know how my body is affected by certain things. And you know, to me, it was one of those things where I had to buy into a person that had just kind of, you know, in their like late 40s, early 50s, tried something for the very first time. And now they got so into it that they've decided that they're going to be, you know, they're going to travel the world and they're going to learn. And he went to Peru and learned from the specific guy. And you come back and the school of thought is everybody gets the same amount, no matter what your metabolism or what your size is. And I was like, that makes zero sense.
Zero.
Zero sense.
Well, especially when the whole lesson of any self-discovery is to listen to your body, and ultimately you know what's best for you, right? So
So you
got too much or too little?
Way too much. Way too much.
Yeah, I'm very sensitive.
So yeah,
to a
and
lot
I watched,
things, so.
you know, the other people going like, wait, you know, I was like terrified through, and I am very capable of handling stuff.
Yeah.
And I was like ready to go. First one wanting to go. I prepped better than everybody else coming into it, and I by far had the worst experience.
Yeah.
And I mean, but I know my body well enough, and I know that like, okay, I shouldn't have done what he did. So I do want to do more. So anyways, there goes the lighthearted part. Okay. All right. Well, let's go into reflective and insight then.
Perfect.
What's a defining moment in your life that changed your perspective or something on something important?
I mean, I feel like I've had a lot of those, to be honest. I would say one of the most recent was when I jumped from the corporate world into real estate. And so for those of you that don't know, before real estate, I was in pharmaceutical sales. That's our common denominator. And there was this moment of just feeling like I was meant to do something bigger. I was meant to do something better. I was meant for something more. And having these thoughts of, I remember sitting in front of doctors' offices and being like, I'm not grateful. I have this great job. I have this, I mean, let's be honest, it's like the best part-time job you could ever have. Good benefits, car paid for.
It is a part-time job,
yeah,
which makes it kind of embarrassing, and it makes it kind of
a little bit,
and also just like you're not really self-fulfilled.
No, yeah, you have to bring in coffees to get time, and I'm like, my energy exchange is worth more than a coffee or Chipotle, you know. So there's just so there was probably a good year of me being like, okay, I'm just gonna sit in front of the doctor's office, give myself a pep talk. Okay, let's go, let's do this, and then like come back out. And so it was a lot of that. And so in that moment, it's just like I needed to trust myself enough to be like, okay, what else is out there? And so during COVID, I had the opportunity to do the real estate courses online because before COVID, they didn't have that as an option. So did that, and then did real estate and pharma for probably 4 months before February. So I left pharma in February of 2022. Yeah, one actually. And so it was just, that was just more of like a lesson of trusting myself and realizing in that moment, it didn't matter what happened with real estate. It was just more or less listening to my gut, listening to my intuition, and trusting, knowing that whatever happened, I would figure it out. If it wasn't real estate, then real estate was the thing to get me to the next thing, you know? And so, and then it's just, I feel like entrepreneurship in general just puts you in that mindset of like, how am I as a human? Is my mind right? Am I doing everything that I want to be doing? You know, what are some things that I love to do that I could be doing more? So, yeah.
Did anything, so with your marriage and that ending, was that anywhere in that same time frame?
Yeah, it was kind of all in the same.
Okay.
Yeah, because I feel like, again, entrepreneurship just kind of pushes you to look at your life a little bit differently, right? And it was also during a time that it's like, I am the type of person where I constantly want to be learning and constantly want to be growing, not because my life isn't good enough, just because I'm a curious human, you know? And so at that time, it really put my marriage in a position. I remember my husband at the time being like, you know, why aren't you happy? We have all of these things. Why do you want more? You don't even have to work. Why do you want to work? You know? And so it's like, because that's just who I am, you know? And so not feeling supported in those moments created a lot of distance and disconnect. So
do you think that people in your same, even I would say even from like a woman's perspective, I think I've heard this recently there's been like a quest for a lot of people I know looking for like their identity. And either if they are working or they're stay-at-home moms, there's still a little bit of like, okay, so what does everybody else look at me as? And am I happy about that? Do you run across that with friends or yourself, or do you feel like, okay, was that what you were thinking or feeling? Or
I'm curious, when you think of those people that you're talking about, are they around the same age?
I was just about to ask the same question.
Yeah.
Yes.
And are they moms?
Yeah.
They're moms and working moms, but mostly moms, and a lot of them are, you know, in really good situations, but don't necessarily, I don't know if they, got myself into a pickle here.
Yeah, I knew where you're
because
going
I don't
with
want to
this.
like, we have to cut this part out, right? But there are our friends, I think, that, or just people I know that just aren't really happy, but they're in a really good situation.
Yeah.
And I know that like what I've seen is like even like the husband being in a position of like, okay, like what am I doing wrong, or how can I feel like I've given everything possible to make this person happy and they're not happy, and then it becomes, you almost look like, I hate to say the word simp, but it's a little like that. You're like, dude, like you do everything, and you're kissing ass, and you're going to get the groceries, and you got 2 nannies.
Yeah.
Like, what's going on?
Yeah.
Well, he's like, dude, well, so like, what am I supposed to do? Like, she's just not happy, or she's depressed, right?
Yeah.
So I don't know. It's just I've seen more and more of it now. But yeah, they're close to the same age.
Yeah. So my thought process is our society has kind of fucked us up in a lot of ways, right? We're taught you go to school, you go to college, you get married, you get the corporate job, you move up, you have the house, you have the vacations, you have the cars, like you have all of these things. And at the end of the day, that isn't what makes us happy. And so I feel like we do this chase. I did this chase, right? For the first, I would say probably 37 years of my life, where it was like, I'm very type A. So it was like, okay, do this, do this, do this. And then you get to the point where you're like, but I'm not happy. And I think going back to, it's okay to admit that.
Yeah.
But our society has taught us to be people pleasers, and like we have all of these things, so now we're just ungrateful. And I think at the end of the day, we lose connection of like who we are, right? And so I think starting to do inner child work and going back to like, what are things that genuinely make me happy? Because I think a lot of people in this world are asleep, and they don't. I mean, I could ask someone today, most people I feel like, and be like, what are your hobbies? And they don't have any, right? Totally. And I do think women lose themselves in
my hobby became part of my job.
It's vaping.
Yeah.
Sorry, so I thought it was in your hand.
I think women.
Oh no.
I think
the microphone.
Yeah, the mic. I think women tend to lose themselves in kids and marriage, and ultimately, to your point, the men are providers, right? And men are typically not emotional humans. They live in the brain. They're very analytical, and they're like, well, I'm doing all of these things. And women are emotional. And I think it's, as men are taught not to live in the emotional space because that makes you weak, and you're a man, so put your head down, do these things. And it's all fucked up. So I notice people around my age where it's like they start to want to learn who they are, but they don't know where to begin. And so a lot of my conversations are, well, here are some ideas on things you can do to get that started. But ultimately you have to make the jump and ultimately learn and know that whatever changes you're about to make, it's going to change your life.
Yeah.
And be okay with it. If it means your marriage is no longer good for you, then that's what that means. If it means your career is no longer good for you, then that's what that means. If it means you're going to start parenting differently. But I think that that's where a lot of people live in the fear, right? Because it's like they don't know what's on the other side. So I'm just going to stay here because this is comfortable. So
I also feel like the identity, like a lot of people's identity becomes their kids. And where they go to school and what sports they're playing and like all the things that they're doing and then they lose themselves in that as well. And then there becomes resentment, and you know, I know for a fact because it happened to me. Yeah, but I see it so much now because my friends, we had kids way earlier than all our friends. And so like all of a sudden, like all our friends have their kids between like 3 and 8. Yeah. And I spent 3 vacations this summer around all of it. And I saw, it's just like, it's
you get to see that dynamic.
I get to see it, and I don't even want to make comments about it, but I could just, my energy says it all.
Yeah.
Like one of my friends goes, sorry. One of my friends goes, sorry, I love my kid. I didn't even say anything. You could just tell that I was just like annoyed. Yeah. I was like, we all do, but if you really love her, you should teach her just that no is okay.
Yeah, no is okay. And also,
that's a word, and you don't have to cater to her every step.
And I think too, we're doing ourselves and our kids a disservice if we're not teaching them how to live a fulfilling life, right? So if we're, as parents, just wrapped up in our kids' world, like we're not teaching them that it's okay to go live our life and go push ourselves outside of our comfort zones and go work out and go hang out with our friends. I mean, it's all of that, right? And then on the flip side of that, it's like people stay married for the kids, and it's like, well, that's also not okay, because now you're teaching your kids what a really unhealthy relationship looks like, so.
Okay, so when people get divorced, it doesn't necessarily mean that anything specific happened, right? People can still like each other, but it can just not be the right thing that keeps people together.
Yeah.
That's not that's not really common necessarily, because it would take a really strong individual to be able to pull that off.
Yeah.
To be like, it's just because I don't know why, right? Yeah. I love you, but this is not the right thing to do.
Yeah.
Well, we evolve, like to your point, what you were saying, I think, the 25-year-old person that gets married is not that same. Hopefully they've grown, right?
Hopefully.
And at 35, they're a different person. And if that other person, their significant other,
doesn't run parallel.
There's a divergence.
Right.
That it's nobody's fault, I think, in many cases.
Yeah.
And it's such a sad thing to say shit happens, but it's true. I mean, I think that everybody who's, I don't know, I'm assuming you're about 10 years younger than us, but how old are your kids?
19, 17, 15, and 13.
Okay, so you're a little bit younger. But I think that when you start approaching, he's 27, he's my oldest.
Yeah.
When they start to become adults and you really don't have the 3-year-old that you're chasing around and trying to get to dance practice or swim practice, whatever it is, you
well, you're doing that now, kind of. You're kind of seeing that now, 19,
Yeah, my 19-year-old's
right, saying that you're on the precipice of what I've already gone through.
Yeah, who are you?
Who the hell am I?
Yeah.
Now that I've done my thing and I've raised or almost raised these humans, what's left?
Yeah.
And hopefully you've got like decades and decades of life, and it's like, it's a very uncomfortable place to be.
Sure. Yeah. Yeah, I'm sure.
So when you decided to jump into real estate, did you think that you would stay in pharmaceutical for a little while longer than 4 months because of how easy it is?
No.
You're just like, I have to get out of here. No matter what, I'm going to do this.
Yeah. I'm an all or nothing person. So I think for me, it was just more or less, I took advantage of the COVID dynamic, right? Where it's like, I was just doing Zoom lunches with physicians, watching them eat with the camera underneath them. I'm like, okay, this is fantastic. And realizing I can do both.
Yeah.
And then it became to the point where it's like, well, if I'm going to be able to do everything I want to do in real estate, I just need to rip the Band-Aid off here and go. So no, it wasn't like I'm going to do both. Like real estate was my out of pharma.
How long after you started doing real estate did you sell your first house or become the buyer's agent?
I closed my first deal in February. So 4 months?
Okay.
Open houses. I just did open houses, picked up a potential seller, sold her house. She bought another house. And then I built my business with open houses in the beginning.
Do you think that you had faster success than the average agent?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, because I hear some stories where I hear most stories where like they didn't close the deal their first year, or maybe like 1 or 2 their first year. I think a lot of my skills in outside sales, just in general. I mean, before pharma, I was in banking and was like one of the BDs. So I've just always been in sales. So I think
you knew how to go get business.
Yeah. I know how to talk to people. Yeah.
Did you have anybody training you when you first got in that?
So my mentor at the time was my actual own real estate agent. She's still an agent. She's been in the industry for at this point, probably like 30 years.
Oh, okay. East Valley?
Yes. Yeah. She's a great agent. What I realized in that moment is obviously I'm going to run my business very different than she does, rightfully so. And so at that time I was with HomeSmart. And then I think I was with her for just under a year, but then quickly, I would say the first couple transactions she held my hand through, and then I was like, okay, I'm gonna go. Yeah.
Did you know that you were going to focus specifically on like one specific area, like your area that you live in?
I didn't know what I was doing.
Okay.
Yeah. It was just like, I'm just gonna go do all the things.
Yeah. But you pretty much did just focus on your neighborhood.
Yeah.
Really, right?
I really just kind of focused in the East Valley. I live in Eastmark right now, so it was like getting to know the players in Eastmark, doing events out there. I remember my first event was a movie in the park I was so stressed.
Right.
Like I bought the projector, the speakers. My husband at the time like helped me set everything up. And I'm like, I have no idea what I'm doing. Hopefully somebody shows up. And there's a pretty good turnout. I think we had like 60 to 80 people show up. And so that was kind of like my taste into doing events and just realizing like the potential of just getting out and putting yourself out there. Right.
So I'll ask a business question, then follow up to that. What did you do for follow-up when those people came? They sign in, or like how did that work for you? Or did you have to
the
do
first
it a few
event?
times?
No, I was just like, I don't know what I'm doing. But as I continued to do events, yes, there was always like a QR code for them to scan to win a basket that maybe one of my vendors donated. They'd get a handwritten thank you note. Of course, get into my flow desk. So they're getting my email newsletters every month, automatically dripped into HomeBot. I mean, everything.
Yeah.
You know, I would layered it, but my first couple events, no. And then you know, afterwards I'm like, well, that was good, but like, now what?
Did I get any
you know?
business? No,
yeah.
I didn't.
No, yeah.
So how did you know? So who taught you how to do like the drip systems and the campaigns and like all the HomeBot? What was the CRM system you used? Or
I used Flowdesk.
Flowdesk.
Yeah.
So is that something you learned from HomeSmart, or did you just
No,
dive in?
I just
you
figured
just dove
it out.
into it and said, I need to do that.
I used to use MailChimp, and then I moved over to Flowdesk probably like 2 years ago.
Just makes things easy. Mm-hmm. So you create your own.
I just think that that's like my corporate brain, right? Where it's
Yeah.
like having the systems and processes in place and the trackers and all of that.
Yeah.
Where
For
I feel
hackers.
like
God.
where it's like, you know, that's going back to your question, where I feel like a lot of agents get into this industry without the corporate business mindset where.
Yeah, most people don't. Most people come right into this business. And they've never had that force-fed business acumen that you get in from Johnson and Johnson or whatever it is, right?
And it's same with us. I mean, loan officers.
Yeah, same. That's what I mean. Like this whole business,
Yeah.
like any title agent, being an agent or being a mortgage lender.
Yeah.
Yeah, so you do have that sort of advantage coming in.
Yeah, but I also feel like you either have it or you don't.
Yeah, or even if you know it, you just don't implement it, or you know.
Yeah.
Because it gets difficult to do that.
Yeah.
Can I ask a question just to shift gears a little bit? I'm the marketing person, and I have a corporate background, but I was also an agent as well. So I recognize a lot of what you're saying in myself. The thing that's been super fun for me now that I've been on the mortgage side of this has been the things like this, right? So I think it's awesome that you have not just one but two podcasts.
Yeah.
So what made you decide that was going to be the medium that you were going to like pursue? And I loved when he was on your show. I thought it was just a fantastic episode.
Yeah. Thank you.
What made you come up with that format? I mean, when, all of a sudden he was like going to be doing the plunge, I was like, oh shit, that's different.
Yeah. Yeah.
And like, where did
That's
that
a
come
good question,
from?
actually. How did you get that? Again, just
so
comes naturally to
yeah,
you?
no, I think for me, because I do such a good job disconnecting and giving myself time to live in that creative space, I have ideas that just pop in every now and then. And so I'm a big supporter of local businesses. And so my thought was, okay, if I highlight local restaurants, businesses, business owners, and I'm able to add value and show them in a different light, then nobody's ever seen them, right? I mean, if you think of all the business owners that you know, what platform are they on where they can have in-depth conversations about who they are as a human so that their following can connect with them on a deeper level? Yeah. It's very uncommon, right? Totally. So my add value in that situation was, I'm going to highlight you in a different way, share this on your network with your sphere, and hopefully that will then broaden my sphere and naturally just attract like-minded people.
And has that worked?
I can't say that I have like quantified that.
It's hard. We have this discussion all the time. Yeah. It's like people, especially in the early years, like, why are you doing that? It seems like so much work, a lot of time. What's the ROI? And we were like, we really can't answer that question yet.
Yeah. And I think for me, as long as you're enjoying it, right? Like the second I stop enjoying it, I'm quick to pivot. So it's like, I had my mastermind that I put together with real estate agents, and I leaned into like, okay, I'm not really enjoying this anymore. I sat with that for a couple of weeks, and then I'm like, okay, we're done. Like, it's okay. Like, it served its purpose.
I did the same thing.
Good for you.
Mortgages lasted 1 month.
Yeah. I mean, I think it's okay. And it's okay to be like, you know what? And recognize, the sooner you recognize that, I think the better.
Yeah.
And not being like, well, I'm quitting. No, it served a purpose for that point in time. And I learned something. And now what's next, you know? So
I think pivoting's the best way of doing it. Because I think with this, it was originally it was real estate, and then I didn't want to do anything with real estate. So it was just similar to what you were doing. I was just having friends that had cool stories, that had businesses, and then they could use our assets to go market themselves, or use the podcast and yada yada yada. And then it became like, oh, maybe we should, if we're spending this much money, we probably should try to get some business out of this.
Yeah.
And so now it's just like a little bit of both. We have people that. But again, we handpick people that we think are going to be good guests too, not just because we think there's going to be business or anything like that.
Yeah,
people that have stories and people, and it's really good to share people that or have people that also have podcasts, because it's good to get around,
have that crossover. Yeah.
I mean, if on the ones you want to do, but
yeah.
So let's get into that for a second, because you have both two. Okay. So the Ponder Box, the other one is called Dating Exposed. Okay, so this is super fun.
This is the juicy one.
one. So the place that I took that I did the cold plunge, your co-host, Platinum Soul.
Yeah.
She's your co-host?
No.
Oh, okay.
No, Claire is actually who I did my combo ceremony with. So Claire's the owner of Platinum Soul. She does a lot of energetic work, Reiki, that kind of stuff. Okay. No, Shelly Albetta is my co-host on Dating Exposed. She's a real estate agent. She's part of the Property Twin. So Shelly and Betsy,
so tell me about this, how to get started.
Oh boy. So Shelly and I are neighbors. I mean, we live like 2 minutes away from each other. Some would look at us as competitors, but literally not how I think about her at all. I think for me, we literally voice note each other throughout the day, 17 times a day. We're talking about kids, dogs, business, and dating, and just relational issues, questions, thoughts, whatever. And so it got to the point where I'm like, there's something really good here. Like our conversations flow. We get in deep. Like I think we have really good, perspectives. We've been through a lot on the relational side, so I feel like we can add a lot of value there. And it just got to the point where I was like, do we want to start a podcast? And she was like, I would love that. And so again, I'm the type of person, like, give me an idea and I will fucking run with it. So literally called Justin Godsey the next day and was like, hey, we're thinking about doing this. Do you want to be on board? Of course he said yes. And then within a couple of weeks, we did our first recording, not really knowing what was going to come of it. We have a lot of really good ideas. We're going to do our first like mix and mingle in the next couple of weeks. I'm big on just building community, right? And so it's like, let's just see what happens, you know? So yeah, we record once a month. We record 4 episodes at a time. And we have literally a shared notepad right now on our phones. There's probably 70 different topics. Right. I mean, there's just so much we can talk about. The podcast we released today was on when you're in the dating stages. If someone doesn't have social media, is that a red flag? And or who they follow, is that a red flag? So, I mean, just really good topics, you know? And then I think the one that we'll release in the next week is, how soon is it too soon to say I love you? How do you know if you're in love? Is it infatuation? I mean, there's just so many topics. We also share our horrific dating experiences too. So everybody gets a nickname. So they're protected if they follow us. I mean, they know who they are, but nobody else knows who they are. So yeah, it's just fun. Honestly, it's like our passion project.
So what's been the most fun episode you've had, or the topic that's been the best, actually, on both podcasts? Yeah.
So I'd say the cold plunge, I think, was just, people were like, are you in there with a microphone? I'm like, we were. Probably not the safest, but.
I know. Going back and listening to my answers too, I was like, that was not anything I would have ever, I made that up.
Yeah, you said that. Like, I can't really think. Yeah. And then I would say the second one was probably when I was on the farm doing farm chores, because I just don't like chickens, don't trust them, don't want to be near them. And I had to hold it, and it was on my shoulder, and they were everywhere. And
they're unpredictable. Yeah. I hate them too.
And they can
birds
peck
in general.
you. Yeah.
Remember the rooster that Ryan had a pet rooster for a bit when we were little kids.
I don't. I was like.
You don't remember that?
I do remember that I had it, but I don't remember like the details of it, and I was very young, right? Hubert, I remember that part.
Yeah. And then I would say on the dating, probably my most favorite is we did an episode just on dating stories. Talked about like horrible dates, talked about their nickname, why they were given that nickname. But our best episode yet will be about sex.
Okay, so I was going to say
we haven't released that one yet. Oh yeah, we went there.
Oh, you did?
Yeah, Justin Godsey was literally like had tears.
He's like, ah.
Yeah. So it was, when do you have sex? Does it change the dynamic? Do you have a conversation around it?
Yeah.
It's a juicy one.
Wow.
When is that dropping?
I think that one will be released in like 3 weeks.
Okay.
Yeah.
You're going to have to...
Be on the lookout for that one. But Justin, what he did say is typically he'll see podcasts start turning at the 20th episode. Mm-hmm. So we post to TikTok, YouTube, Facebook. I hate Facebook, and Instagram. We're getting the most traction on TikTok, which I knew that was going to be the case. But TikTok is savage.
Yeah?
Yeah, it is.
What do you mean?
People are just very angry and hateful on TikTok.
Oh, the comments?
Oh, yeah.
Fearless.
Oh.
And they'll go in there and they'll fight with each other. I'm like, oh, this is perfect. Keep it up. Yeah.
Yeah, right?
Yeah.
God, I saw something the other day that they're like, in order, it was a podcast, and the woman goes, do you get more hate than I do on social media? And he goes, no, I actually go to your page when I'm feeling down about myself and I read your comments and I go, wow, how is she doing this still? This is terrible.
Well, when we first started posting, I called Shelly and I was like, are you reading these comments? I mean, we were being called fat and like old and I'm just like, thankfully we're secure, right?
Yeah.
But I'm like, I could see this really being an issue for a lot of people. For me, it was just like, I would say one of my strengths is saying things nicely, but being a total bitch. So I would go in, I'm like, I'm going to make comments. And so it was just having fun with that. So
that's good though, that you had that many people that weren't your friends or family looking that they were actually feeling like they should be making comments.
Yeah. I mean, what do they say? No such thing as bad publicity.
Yeah.
Like, just keep it coming. Yeah.
Well, I don't want to be on TikTok.
Yeah.
I think we're going to stay away from TikTok.
Yeah.
We're going to be more LinkedIn people, I think.
And there were things that they would say and we'd have to Google them. I'm like, okay, we are old. I mean, we're not that old, but like, or ask my kids. I'm like, what does this mean? They're like, oh my God, Mom. So yeah.
That's so funny. Well, it sounds like there's actually like a future in this one.
I mean,
it is your passion project.
It's definitely our passion project. It's very therapeutic. I think a lot of people struggle in relationships. Again, going back to our society has taught us, like, you find your person and they make you happy. If you're showing up in a relationship and you're not whole as a human and you're looking for someone else to fulfill that happiness, like, that is not okay. But that's what we're taught, right? So, yeah, I mean, we're talking about doing like local like date nights and getting like discounts for people, and we'll do. I
think the meetups are a great idea.
The mix and mingle.
Yeah, I think that's great.
Hopefully, no creepers show up.
Oh, there will for sure.
Yeah.
100%. So how do your kids feel about this, being that they're not like small children? They know what you're doing.
Yeah.
Any
comments? I can't wait for the sex episode.
That's I had that in mind in anticipation.
Yeah. I mean, I have a very open conversation with my kids. At this point, they know I'm dating. I don't hide that from them. I think it's healthy to have that conversation around that. Or if I'm dating someone and then I stop dating, having a conversation around why I chose to stop dating that person. You know, I'm just very open.
Do you have boys and girls?
Yeah, boy, girl, boy, girl.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Do you struggle with mixing like this aspect and your real estate business? I'm going like, okay, do you feel like you're gonna, okay, this is something that could potentially get me business as well, because you're gonna make friends, there's gonna be people that are coming to you from the podcast, that you might reach out to you for like to sell their house or something like that.
You just never know.
But that's not the intent. That's
not the intent. But I had, in one of my Reiki sessions about a year ago, I had it drop in that I meant to do something else, and real estate's in the background.
Yeah.
So what I'm meant to do, real estate will be a byproduct of that. I'm not there yet, obviously. But I'm just taking the breadcrumbs. Like, if this feels good and this feels right, I'm going to go here. It'll lead me to something else. I don't know what that is, but it's fun.
Yeah. That's awesome. Do you think there's a misconception of who you are, or the perception of you is different than what you really are?
You tell me.
I don't know. I was just really thinking about it right now when I was like listening to you talk. I don't know enough people that really know you, honestly. Where I've had like conversations to answer that question.
I get told that as people get to know me, I'm not as intimidating as they thought I was. Or I think a lot of people are surprised to hear my holistic approach to life. Mm-hmm. I'm a very open person, but a lot of people, when they hear I do Reiki, or I obviously I meditate quite a bit, and I've read 35 books this year so far.
Yeah, so you're a big learner.
Yeah. But I think I come across as being very well put together and maybe a little bit closed off, but that's not who I am at all.
Right. So. I think that could be, the people, that's kind of where I was going. Mm-hmm. I think that's probably the thought process, and I don't even know, but you typically find somebody that's well put together that has those maybe hobbies or interests. It's not they usually don't go hand in hand.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
I will say that you are very consistent with what I thought you were going to be like.
Oh, that's good.
So I think that, again, I know this isn't your objective in terms of like, well, I'm doing this because I want to achieve this certain brand persona. Mm-hmm. I know it's not that, but it's working for you anyway, right? Mm-hmm. Which is the most powerful way to show up from a brand perspective. And I think that, hats off to you, because I think one of the most disappointing and sometimes aggravating parts of meeting people that you've been following on social media for a long time, and you're like, the disconnect is heartbreaking. Yeah. Right? And you immediately lose trust and you kind of get a little pissed because you feel like you've been duped.
Yeah.
So you're very consistent in person with I think the way that you show up digitally.
Well, thank you for saying that. I would say probably about 2 years ago, it was like, how can I build my business around my passions, right? Because I think our industry in general is just very deceiving. Mm-hmm. It's all fake.
Oh, God.
Half the people that you think are doing business are not doing business, right? And so I hate that part of our industry.
Totally.
I hate it. Like, I'm not a fake person. If I don't vibe with someone, I'm not going to pretend I'm their friend. I'm not going to dislike them, but I'm not going to, I'm not a fake person at all. And so that's probably one of my biggest complaints of our industry is just like, be real, and so about 2 years ago, it was like breaking that barrier of showing vulnerability and being authentic and being like, okay, what are my passions? And I actually taught a class about this at North & Co, where it's like, you can build a business around your passions. And like, what a great opportunity for you to then attract people who are just like you and you connect with and you enjoy working with them. You can do that, and so it's just kind of breaking that mold.
I think it's very similar when building relationships or looking for somebody you want to spend time with too. I had somebody tell me a long time ago, coach, actually, that like, instead of like looking for a partner, go do things. That was his whole thing. Go do things, and that's going to attract people to you, because they're going to be like, I want to be with that person doing those things.
Right.
And so I think that's the same thing, building yourself around your passions. It's actually more attractive, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
Find somebody that's doing things. Right. It's far more attractive than just sitting on the phone going.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. What is the saying? Like, become who you are looking for. I don't. Same.
Yeah.
I'm the worst at that.
Yeah.
I shouldn't have even tried to quote something.
You're not like the two guys I was talking about earlier that did a quote off?
Yeah, I would not. I fuck it up every time. Yeah.
Hey, how did you end up at North & Co?
She's not at North & Co.
Oh, sorry. You were referencing Justin, and then
I was at North & Co. Okay. I left North in January.
Okay.
And I ended up there because I was actually at Limitless.
Yeah.
Which mimicked North & Co.
Is that Blake?
Yeah.
Okay.
And then quickly left there and was just more or less like, I liked Brian. I didn't mean to say that past tense. We can edit that.
We like Brian too.
And then got over there. Again, it served its purpose. And then I jumped over to EXP in January. Okay. I haven't looked back.
You're kind of like an individual that can do their own thing and create their own path and don't need all the other fluff that comes with the other companies that a lot of people do need.
Yeah.
So
and it's not good or bad.
Yeah.
But I just know that when I look at like going to a mastermind, it's like, okay, that's 4 hours, 5 hours out of my day.
Yeah.
What kind of work can I get done in that time? But yeah, I would say I'm more of like a lone wolf, do my own thing. I'll tap in when I want to, but
yeah,
I work better alone.
What's your favorite movie?
Elf. Elf
Good
is
choice.
my favorite movie.
That's such a good movie.
It's so good.
So good.
Anything with Will Ferrell, really, in general.
Yeah.
But like Elf is every time.
So do you have a drama that you like, or is it? So
I'm not a big TV
the question
watcher.
usually is better when I say a drama, action, more than just because the comedies, a lot of people go straight to like all the basic, like Shawshank Redemption, Godfather, right?
Good Will
None of
Hunting.
those, please. But Elf was a quick answer. It's such a good movie. Do you like Christmas?
I do like Christmas. I would say I like Thanksgiving better than
Really?
Christmas. Thanksgiving to me is like the turn of the season, like weather, football, family. It's the food.
Yeah.
And then Christmas in my world has changed over the last couple of years because I'm like, it's
so
not
different.
about the stupid gifts, It's like
yeah.
I'm over that. I'm past like buying my kids shit just because,
Yeah.
But yeah, Elf by far. I'm not a big TV watcher.
You're just a big book person. What's your favorite book?
Oh God.
What's your favorite? Okay, name a couple books you like.
I really liked Good Vibes, Good Life, Breaking the Habit of Being Yourself, Atomic Habits. Almost done reading Becoming Supernatural. That one's really good.
Do you read
But
them
I
all,
also
or do you
read a lot
audiobooks
of.
too?
I read a lot of smut.
Do you?
Oh yeah.
Like Danielle Steele?
Yeah. Uh-huh. Like Iron Flame, Fourth Wing. I've yeah. It's a combination of both. Audible, but I love a book in my hand. But I also walk a lot, so I'll put on a podcast while I'm walking. So there was also a book, I would say one of the best books I've read this year was What Are You Doing With Your Life? And then there was a chapter in there that talked about everybody's on this path to find their purpose. It's got to be some grand thing, right? Like if you ask someone like, what's your purpose? Some people will say like leaving behind a legacy or like making an impact. And really it's being comfortable with who you are and in alignment so much that I say something to you in this moment that you walk away thinking about because I'm so much in alignment and this conversation was supposed to happen. And that is the purpose of life. And it's just...
Wow. What's the name of that book again?
Becoming Supernatural?
No, that one is What Are You Doing With Your Life?
Oh, wow. That's a good one.
It is a good one.
Let's not forget that amongst the four of us.
We'll put the book list
Three
in
of
the
us
show
will forget.
notes.
It's a really good book.
All right. Let me just have one more question and we'll wrap. If you could relive one day of your life, which day would it be and why? I figured I could go this deep.
I think...
That is a tough one.
That is a hard one because there's been so many things in my life. I mean, we all have a story, right? But I would say not a particular day, but maybe like going back to my childhood and just giving myself all the knowledge that I have now, which is you are enough.
Right. Love yourself.
Love yourself. Don't dim your light. Be confident in who you are. And just giving myself, that love that I've done in all my inner child work.
Yeah.
So not a particular day, but I
No,
would
that's
say
a great answer. I think that answers it perfectly.
Yeah.
You definitely have a deep soul for sure, and it's nice to have a conversation with somebody you're in the middle of learning stuff, and you're in the middle of like searching for sure.
Yeah.
And like you said, finding the light. It's awesome. So thank you so much for coming.
Thank you for having me.
It was
on.
great.
Appreciate it. Are we cold plunging now or what?
Yeah.
You're like surprised.
Yeah.